17009206, address 1380 Southwest H Street, page 89 and page 93 respectively.
Good afternoon, Brian Dombrowski, 333 Southeast 2nd Avenue. I am an attorney. I would love it if Lash would offer me in the 60 days that he's been offering to everybody this afternoon.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen.
You know what's better than what you want? I'll make a motion for 30. He's
so, yeah. Okay, so.
Wait. We have two cases here today. One is for failure to obtain a warrant, which is the case on page 89.
89? And you know the other page?
93.
93.
The first one's for failure to obtain a warrant. There was an open-air retail market on this property previously when we were cited. Once we were cited, we stopped operations. We've been inoperable for more than a year. I've spoken to the city attorney, and if we proffer that we're no longer seeking that warrant, she's agreed to close that case.
That's correct.
You're okay? I want to understand this because we have so many problems with the warrant issue. Why is the city not seeking this warrant at this time?
It's not the city that's not seeking the warrant. It's now the TUP for the farmers market at 1380 Southwest A Street, which was signed off erroneously in July, has been revoked. So they do not have a warrant at that property anymore, and because there are other open code violations from building that are unrelated and would not be any permit they received from building for this farmers market they were going to do would not then legalize what had been done. So because they have an overhang and other issues with the building. So the warrant itself should have never been signed off by zoning because the farmers market code section does not allow it to be issued if there are any other open code violations. So that error was fixed yesterday with the revocation, and so it is our understanding that the property owners are agreeing that they will no longer be seeking a warrant for this place. We still have the kiosk construction thing.
Read that today.
The second one to deal with.
Maybe anything about
maybe. So based upon that representation, obviously that they're removing it, then they would be in compliance. So that's that they're not going to be doing that.
And what's the penalty back to the city for mistakenly doing stuff? Just out of curiosity.
There is no penalty.
Oh, I think it's okay. Thank you.
Everybody's entitled to change their mind.
Right.
You know, it's not a perfect world. We're not perfect people. However, I'm going to motion for 90 days because this is going to get more complex.
If I can just say this.
Okay, go
before
ahead.
you even get there. This was heard before the special master on several occasions. The last time they were given 30 days, no further, from special master Jerry.
Then why are we
on
hearing
both
it again?
of them. Because they asked for an extension of time. Everybody's allowed to come and ask. Whether you choose to grant it, they would not even need 90 days because they are now proffering for this one that they are in fact not going to seek the warrant anymore, and so therefore we're going to close this case.
Right.
So nothing needs to happen.
So then why are they recommending 60 days then?
We're not.
They're not.
We're not.
How much time do you need?
He doesn't.
Page 89 is being taken care of
Now we have a
because
second case.
There's a second case. Victoria Mendez, City Attorney, City of Miami.
Clear this up, please.
There is a second case. The second case, they're seeking an extension of time. We are asking for no further extension of time and immediate compliance to remove all the containers that they have on the property. So that is the case. If they're seeking time on, we would object. They have been given plenty of extension.
We're hearing this more time now?
Right, that's the second
case.
And your recommendation from the city is that no extension?
No extension of time,
and immediate
plus
compliance.
immediate compliance, which is this board, which you know that you can always make orders of compliance, and one of the orders of compliance that we are seeking is that this board requests that those containers be removed within the next 24 to 48 hours, and if not, immediate fines start on the property, or the city can go in and remove them if you allow us to.
Your Honor, just so that I can shed a little bit more light on this, we obtained our farmer's market permit for this property. The city alleges that it was improperly issued.
When?
In June, I believe.
June of this year?
Yes. And we also obtained a building permit in April of this year for the kiosks that are on site.
When?
April 17th of this year, which is still valid through October 14th. So about 44 days from now.
However, it was, and that was what we were discussing, that it was issued in error. It should not have been issued. No permit for a farmer's market should have been issued. They don't even meet the square footage. So
What is the square footage?
it's supposed to be more than 5,000 feet for the market itself.
And what
And
did
the
it- what-
lot, their lot is about 5,000.
The
So
whole
it
lot?
doesn't,
But not the area for the farmer's market.
right.
So it's in fact in violation of the code.
It's
They're not allowed to
Wait, one at a time. I'm sorry.
They're not allowed for the code to have a farmer's
So they're
market.
violating the code.
If they have a farmer's market, yes.
Okay, all right. So I wanna understand the mechanics of the comedy of errors that we're listening to, because the city issued them a permit erroneously. Is that right?
A conditional.
But it was erroneous. It shouldn't have been issued.
Well, it should not have been issued for two reasons. One, because the lot size is not adequate for the farmer's market. And two, because they have pending code enforcement violations. And this board, many, many years ago, made sure that certain legislation was promulgated wherein no permit should be issued for different activities if you have pending blatant code enforcement violations.
I know, that's what I'm saying, is this comedy of error, because obviously somebody messed up and issued an erroneous permit, which I have a problem with. Because if that wouldn't have happened, we wouldn't be discussing this today, and there wouldn't be all this nasty stuff in the papers and all that stuff.
I think as well, they've been trying to get their permitting, and the applicant, has not obviously done what they needed to do many moons ago. So it's, both ways.
Does anybody try to get anything many moons ago? Everybody does it yesterday.
Our
Today.
violation was for work performed without a finalized permit. We obtained our permit. We've been working towards this. We still have 44 days left on our permit. I mean, we just found out yesterday that the farmer's market permit was revoked.
The cases since like May 2017, I think that the city has been more than generous. They're not even going to accrue fines as of this date because of all the extension of time that the city has already given them.
Well,
Chose May 22nd.
on one case.
17th,
On one case,
right?
right. It's been over a year.
And it took us nearly a year to obtain our farmer's market permit.
But you can't. They just told you can't have one.
They didn't tell us that.
No, I said this is a comedy of errors.
But
How does because they made a mistake, which it's the city of Miami, right? And I love it very much, and that's why I'm sitting here for 12 years now, 20 something for him. Okay, which I don't even know. And anyway, how does two wrongs make a right?
I'm sorry?
How does two wrongs make a right?
don't.
Of course not.
Well, there you
At this
are.
point, my client just found out yesterday that his farmer's market permit was revoked.
Okay.
He still has a building permit. If they're going to require us to remove him from the property, we need time to remove him. I'm going to ask for the time
You
that was
need
left on
time
our
for
building
what?
permit.
You need time for what?
To move the structures off the
To
site.
remove them?
Yes.
It's all it takes is a couple of records,
Yeah.
I have to find a place to put them.
a place.
When did you find out that you couldn't have a farmer's market permit? I just want to make sure there's enough reaction time for you to
Late
react.
last night.
When?
Monday.
Late last night.
Last night?
Yeah, that's not enough time for them to react.
We've been telling them that they are not supposed to have these structures on the premises for a month at least. Well, over a year to begin with, but at least a month that they have to remove them. Unfortunately, they have been basically saying since they have certain permits that they're going to get their farmer's market, that they should be able to have them there. But just because you're planning on doing something doesn't mean that you have to have containers, storage, and proper storage on your property. It's hurricane season. We just had a storm last week.
I'm sorry, Vicky. I love you. Again, let's go back to the basis. Okay, the base. The base is that two wrongs don't make a right. If they can't have it there, even though the city messed up, and like I said, I want to know what's going to happen to the person that messed up, because if not, we wouldn't be having this situation right now. But two wrongs don't make a right. Okay, I mean, you know, you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. I'm gonna motion for 1 day, 24 hours.
I would have to ask for more time. It's just not enough
Okay,
time.
how much time do you need?
How much time do you think you need?
30 days.
We'll go 30 days?
No. You might want to meet in the middle somewhere.
We split the difference, 15 days?
I could go over 15 days.
I made a motion. I wanna know if there's a second.
Commissioner is standing there, I guess he's trying to say something.
If I could,
You may.
Joe Carollo, and I'm glad I'm not an attorney. And if this board would be so kind to hear me out for a few minutes.
Yes, sir.
This whole thing in this particular corner started long before I became a commissioner. It was merchants from the area that I understood complained so much from what was going on that code enforcement that did not want to take action was forced to take action on that particular problem. I don't know if there are any pictures that you have here. Does my office have pictures of this, and my staff could bring? And I apologize, I usually come prepared, but I didn't know this item was coming out, and as I was heading out the door, I was told that it was coming up. And it's important for you to see this picture, because not one of you would allow this kind of stuff anywhere near your homes. Certainly, if this would be thrown out like this in Coconut Grove, they tar and feather the city to get rid of it. If it would happen in another part of my own district, the roads, they wouldn't allow it, or the northeast part. But they're doing this because this is a poor area of residents that many don't know their rights. Many are new immigrants to Miami, and they're asking for a farmer's market. Well, a farmer's market, in order to have it, you do need 5,000 minimum square feet that you could have it of open space. But beyond that, a farmer's market could only be issued by the city on a temporary basis for products that are going to be grown in the ground, vegetables, etc., within 100 miles of Miami. A real farmer's market. When they were closed down, what they had there was anything but a farmer's market. It was a flea market. And that's why the other merchants were complaining about it, and they forced code to take action. Action they did not want to take. What they're asking for is a farmer's market, but I assure you what's going to come up there is not going to be a farmer's market, because they intend to go back to the same thing. But
Objection.
You cannot prove that now, so I can only go to what was there before. During this time, all those kiosks, if you want to call it that, what I call them is what they are, 1/3 containers that were cut up on site. They made an industrial site between that lot and the one in back of it that's zoned multifamily residential. In fact, you still have the halls of some of them that were left cut in half. And in the back one, that has nothing to do with this one, you even have 20-foot containers that are there, where they're still parking illegally vehicles. The problem that you have right now is that none of these permits that were issued by individuals from this city that knew better, should have ever been issued, because when it was brought up by my office of numerous violations and code enforcement violations that were there, that anyone except a blind code enforcement officer could have seen. Like, for instance, you take over alleyway and you build illegally, not to standard, and you have in the middle a telephone pole, a utility pole, that has live electricity on top. I've never seen that in my life, in any city, except maybe third, fourth, fifth world, outside of Miami. And
you'll know that not just for a farmer's market, but for anything that someone comes and asks for in a piece of property, if you have code violations, and they have more than the one that I described, they cannot be issued. Now, approximately 2 months ago or so, after a magistrate gave, I think it was the second or third extension, I don't know how many extensions they've got in this, it's been one after another through the magistrates. Knowing well, because the assistant city attorney stated that it couldn't be done because they were not in compliance with code. They stated that they only needed 30 more days. But here we are. And that's why they said that they needed the previous 30 extension they got. But the city attorney, right after that, sent an email to her assistant here that the zoning director was copied. Yes, Rachel. The zoning director was copied on that email. And she included what the law of our city says in a farmer's market, that you cannot issue a farmer's market if you have code violations in a property. And I don't think anyone can say here that there are none other. The zoning director answered in the response, that's clear. And then about a month and a half later, on behalf of the city manager, I guess it wasn't clear to him what our code says, because he signed up on it. And this is the problem that I've been having when it relates to these individuals in so many properties.
Commissioner, with all due respect, I must ask you a question right there.
Yes,
Please
yes,
say
what
that-
do we like?
Please, okay, say that again. Who signed off on it?
The zoning director, knowing darn well that it was illegal, he acknowledged it a month and a half before, and if he didn't know it, he shouldn't be working as a zoning director. I mean, the city attorney did not have to point out to him what our code is. But see, part of the problem that we're having, that I found out when I came back that it wasn't the same city that I left 16 years ago. Some of the other establishments owned by associates gave Christmas parties to our code enforcement, building and zoning. Everybody was happy. Nobody paid a penny. And this is the kind of crap that's going on. And I could bring witness to numerous things.
Commissioner, as I stated even before you got up here, I said, who signed off on this and what are we going to do about that?
Well,
because I like I said, I find this a comedy of error, but the level of, I'm going to try to find the nicest word I can say.
this is not a comedy of errors. This is being done purposely by people that know what the law is.
Look, I'm not going to say incompetence, but I'm going to say malfeasance, to say the least. And that's why the first thing I said was, who signed off on this? Because, why are we doing this in issuing permits that can't be issued?
Yeah, but to be frank with you guys, this is a small one compared to some of the stuff that I found out. I mean, the stuff that I'm finding out, I don't know what's going to happen with those that signed up on this throughout the last few years. Because it's outrageous what's happening, in particular, at least the area that I'm observing, that I'm responsible for in particular, which is District 3. And this is why I'm here. I'm protecting those that don't know how to defend themselves. This is supposed to be, probably after Bayside, the second biggest tourist area in Miami. And we're going to have it looking like if this is some kind of third world bazaar. Please, did anybody find pictures of that? I mean,
I've seen them because I saw them today.
but the bottom line is, no matter what my personal feelings are,
There's a picture.
it's illegal. It's illegal. And I'm sick and tired of seeing individuals that work for our city, whether at the lower echelon or at director level, trying to protect people and make what's illegal somehow because they have a title and they can sign up legal. And if I have to, just like I've gone to court today, I will go to court on other points too, to make sure that our city laws are going to be enforced, and people in my district, in an area that affects all of the city of Miami because it's a major tourist area, are going to be protected. And I'm sorry that I've had to come to here. Believe me, I don't enjoy this, and I really don't care how many people are going to get their next check so they can write about me crap and say lies and do whatever they want. I'm not going to be intimidated. They're not going to stop me. They can send whoever they want, finding out in the MRC if they know any dirt about me so they could come at me, or post it on sites. Good luck. A lot of better people have tried and haven't been able to. But what I'm not going to do is to back off from protecting my district, my neighborhood, the city, and I'm not going to let myself to be intimidated by anyone in that. If, you know, and I dare his clients show any property that they have in Little Havana that I pointed out to, that I'm wrong, that is perfectly fine. And gentlemen and lady, it's frustrating when you have to come time and time again to send and show code enforcement serious violations that we have, and it seems very little is done, if not nothing. And you see it time and time again. And like I said, this particular issue was going on way before I got here as a commissioner. But I have to ask, why then the code enforcement officer that was in charge for that block never saw that pole illegally and how they built illegally, like if this is a third world neighborhood? Nor did they see any of the other code enforcement violations there, or numerous others that I have in my district that I won't bother you to address them here. It's not the appropriate place or time. But I just wanted to express my opinion, take my time.
There's two of us up here that live in your district.
Well, I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
So we're aware. It's not like it's going by unnoticed. You know.
But truly, any of these flying traps, that none of them live in our city of Miami, they wouldn't put up with something like that for 1 hour in their neighborhood without screaming, going to the top echelons of City Hall. Why should those people that live in Little Havana have to put up with that? Why should we show tourists that come something of this nature, like if we're a third world country, when we're not? Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Anybody?
Well, like I said before, you know, two wrongs don't make a right, and I made a motion for 1 day. If anybody wants to second, it's fine. If not, let's hear from council.
Your Honor, I appreciate the Commissioner's passionate speech, and I'm sure everybody's appreciative of the great work he does for his district. Like I said, we had a farmer's market permit that was issued. We had a building permit that was issued. We were operating under those. We just found out yesterday that it was revoked. Checking iBuild a few minutes ago, the building permit is still active. I'm going to ask for some time so we can get these off the site. I was told that 30 days was too much to ask. Can we do 15?
My motion would be for 48 hours, not 24. Okay, did the first one die? I didn't
I
hear
don't
a
know, it
second.
hasn't died yet. Is there a second to that motion or 1 day? Okay, there's no second. So what's next now?
48 hours.
48. Is there a second to that? I'll second that.
There's a motion and a second. Roll call.
Member Nimmons?
No.
Member Patel?
No.
Member Pichel?
No.
Member Warren?
Yes.
Member Dulzaitis?
No.
Mr. Moralejo?
No.
Chairman Cohen?
I,
Motion fails.
I'll make a motion once again, 1 day.
okay, motion is back for 1 day. Okay, is there a second? Again,
I'll make a motion for up until Saturday at
I was
midnight on Saturday.
gonna say Monday. Monday morning, so
No,
out there ready
no.
to clean.
No. My motion is until Saturday at midnight. Is anybody gonna second that?
That's even
I'll second it.
okay, there's now a motion for Saturday at midnight, that's like 3 days, is that what we're saying? Okay, is there a second to that? There was a second, okay. A roll call, please.
Mr. Duzaitis?
No.
Ms. Warren?
No.
Mr. Pichelle? Mr. Patel?
No.
Mr. Nemmons?
No.
Mr. Moralejo?
Yes.
Chairman Cohen?
Yes?
Motion is 42.
Somebody come up with
Yes.
Wait a second. Did we get everybody?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Motion fails,
Failed.
3 to 4.
I'll make a motion for 7 days.
I'm running out of paper. Unfortunately, I
I'm
am.
gonna make a motion until.
Wait,
Does this motion fail?
Yeah.
Is there a second? No second.
All right, I'll make a motion for 36 hours, including the weekend.
That's sort of 36.
What's that?
36.
That means Monday.
No, that's Sunday at midnight.
36 is a little more than 24 hours.
Just remember one thing. I realize everything that has been said here, but this case goes back a year. Come on.
That's my
You know?
point. That's my point. How much more time do and then like I said from the beginning, 2 wrongs don't make a right. Everybody here has screwed up one way or the other. But the point is, we're going to follow a code, and the code says no. No means no. When somebody told me I was 60 years old, and they said no, I had to say no too, because that was the law. I didn't want to go to jail. So I'm going to motion again
Well, yes,
for,
first.
for Sunday at midnight.
I'll second.
With a motion and a second for Sunday midnight then. Go ahead. We'll close it up.
Mrs. Duzaitis?
No.
I'm sorry?
No.
Ms. Warren?
No.
Mr. Pichelle? Mr. Patel?
Yes.
Mr. Nemmons?
Yes.
Mr. Moralejo?
Yes.
Chairman Cohen?
No.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-3.
Okay, so 36 hours, which means Sunday at midnight. So at 12:01. Okay, that's fine. I'm not gonna be there either, so I'm okay with that. Midnight Sunday.
So,
Okay.
More or less, a little bit more than 36
Okay. Now that was the one on page 93. For page 80.